Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. Welcome back to the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. I wanted to dig in a bit talking about holistic approaches to menstrual pain relief. I am on day 3 of my menstrual cycle right now and in my pajamas, and the kids are all at hockey practice. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to record an episode, and this is real. I actually don't have menstrual pain, but it makes me think a lot about the women that I have supported over the last 24 years that have struggled with menstrual pain. So first, just talking a little bit about prevalence. Menstrual pain is also known as dysmenorrhea, and it affects a very significant portion of women worldwide. Studies suggest that up to 90% of women experience some degree of menstrual pain during their reproductive years. You know, just to preface, I love to be still during my menstrual time. For those of you that have listened to me, I really honor the 4 seasons, 4 weeks of a traditional 28-day cycle, even if you're not bleeding, even if your cycle is 35 days or 21 days, we still have 4 seasons. And I think of our bleeding time as winter. It's a time to put on the extra layers, get a good book, sit by the fire, have nourishing foods. Or I will be talking a little bit about intermittent fasting. Maybe choose not to eat, depending on what really serves you. But here I am at age 46, still having regular monthly cycles every month. And let's talk about dysmenorrhea. So for some women, menstrual pain can be more than just a minor inconvenience. They say approximately 20% of women experience menstrual pain severe enough to interfere with their daily activities, including work, school, and social engagement. Now, if you are actively choosing to rearrange your work schedule and let the dishes pile up and not vacuum the floors and cancel those meetings, and if you are able to reschedule your on-stage appearance, awesome. Right? I celebrate when we are in our winter time being able to go into rest and restore and listen inside. And 20% of women are feeling negatively about it interfering with their daily activities. And that's no bueno. So there's obviously impact on quality of life. The physical and emotional toll of menstrual pain can be substantial. Research is indicating that menstrual pain is a leading cause of absenteeism from work and school among women of reproductive age, contributing to decreased productivity and overall quality of life. From the perspective of healthcare utilization, women experiencing severe menstrual pain often seek medical treatment to alleviate their symptoms. And most often it's, here's your pain med, here's a prescription for hormones, we can give you a surgery. Okay. Now, I'm not necessarily going to be covering those topics. They are useful in some scenarios, but let's talk about other alternatives and ways that we can really address this. But from a healthcare utilization perspective, it is estimated that menstrual pain accounts for millions of healthcare visits each year, including consultations with primary care providers, gynecologists, and other specialists. And let's talk about what are underlying causes. The number one thing that I want to talk about first is estrogen dominance. So estrogen dominance is either when estrogen is elevated or when estrogen is high in relationship to progesterone. So if you think back, follicular phase, which is your second week of your cycle, our springtime, that's a very estrogen dominant time. If you're doing a blood test to look at your hormones, really take note of where you are in your menstrual cycle. And if you have the Mirena or some type of contraception where you're not having a menstrual cycle, please do use my menstrual tracker, keeping in mind that there are so many other things that you can track, right? Your bloating, your aches and pains, your desire to socialize, your libido, they're all relevant and kind of give you clues as to whether or not you're in the follicular phase or your luteal phase, which is what I call fall time or your PMS time. And if you're having blood test and it's during that springtime or follicular time, it's expected that your progesterone is going to be a little bit low. You don't really start producing progesterone until after you ovulate. So the best time to look at your sex hormones is ideally between day 18 and 22 of your menstrual cycle. If you do a Dutch Plus test, which is looking through dried urine, that's going to be between day 18 and 22. If you do a 24-hour urine catch, generally that's going to be on day 20. And even if you're getting blood tests, my preference is that you're doing it between day 18 and 22. And that way we can look at what's your estrogen and where's your progesterone, so we can clearly take a peek at, is this estrogen dominance? And it can contribute to painful menstrual cycles by disrupting the balance of hormones in the body. Estrogen is a proliferative hormone. So it's the hormone that's building up. It builds up that endometrial lining. It builds up breast tissue, okay? If you have fibrocystic breasts, if you have a history of fibroids, if you have a history of heavy bleeding, painful bleeding, the first thing I'm thinking is there's likely either overproduction of estrogen or your body is being exposed to excess estrogen from an exogenous route, meaning outside the body. Usually that's going to be your beauty care products, cleaning products, right? All the endocrine disruptors, as well as eating meat that has been given hormones. And so once again, estrogen dominance occurs when there is an excess of estrogen relative to progesterone. And it leads to an imbalance that can not only trigger inflammation, it also triggers water retention, as well as increased sensitivity to pain. And if that endometrial lining is building up excessively, then when you are bleeding, there's more to bleed out. So you tend to bleed heavier. It's more crampy, okay? If you imagine, like if you cut your finger and you can put pressure on your finger to stop the bleeding, that's innately happening within your uterus when you're in your bleeding time. But if there's excess endometrial lining that's built up, it makes it harder for the body to do that, okay? So this imbalance can result in symptoms such as severe cramping, bloating, breast tenderness, mood swings, and PMS. And additionally, the estrogen could be normal, but the progesterone is low, or the estrogen is high and the progesterone is low in relationship to the estrogen. Either way, low progesterone levels can further exacerbate menstrual pain by failing to counterbalance the effects of estrogen. So progesterone plays a crucial role in regulating the menstrual cycle and maintaining healthy uterine lining. When progesterone levels are insufficient, the uterine lining may become thicker and more prone to shedding, resulting in heavier and more painful periods. And by addressing the underlying hormone imbalances through lifestyle modifications, nutritional intervention, and holistic therapies, I'm going to get into a bunch of them, women can often find relief from the painful menstrual cycles and also, along the way, restore harmony to their hormonal health. So number one, as a cause, would be excess estrogen. Number two would be endometriosis. I would like for you to listen to the past episode that I did specifically on endo. We'll make sure the link to that episode is in the show notes. And if you're curious about endometriosis specifically, that's an episode you're definitely going to want to listen to. Just know that endometriosis, one of the symptoms of it, there are many, but one of them is painful periods. Also, inflammation can contribute to menstrual pain through various mechanisms in the body. So during menstruation, the uterus undergoes contractions to shed its lining, resulting in the release of what's called prostaglandins, which are hormone-like substances that promote inflammation and uterine contractions. It's possible that maybe when you were in labor, you might have been given prostaglandins, or some say what helps the baby come out, i.e. sperm. Side note, sperm is high in prostaglandins. And excessive levels of prostaglandins can lead to increased inflammation and stronger, more painful uterine contractions, resulting in more severe menstrual cramps. So once again, this can be originating simply from increased inflammation in the body. So chronic inflammation elsewhere in the body can exacerbate menstrual pain. Conditions such as endometriosis, pelvic inflammatory disease, adenomyosis of the reproductive organs, they're all going to lead to heightened sensitivity to pain during menstruation. So if you're going to get your annual labs drawn, ask for your CRP, your C-reactive protein. That's a nice kind of general marker of inflammation. You might also want to make sure you've listened to past episodes on autoimmune conditions. Really listen through those. Maybe you're going to ask for your thyroid antibodies. Maybe you want to find a provider that is willing to do a deep dive into inflammatory markers as well as your vitamin D as in dog, right? There are all these things that are going to be influencing inflammation as well as your gut microbiome. You hear me talking about this a lot. I love ordering the GI map, and I have a team dietitian. It is her specialty. She's literally flown all over the world to teach clinicians how to read that test specifically so we can look at, could there be an underlying inflammation that's originating from the gut, an imbalance, so to speak, and either not enough of the good bacteria and too much of the bad bacteria that is exacerbating inflammation. And now it's impacting your menstrual pain, right? So can you see how everything is important? We don't live in a silo, right? You don't want to just take hormones that are specific to your uterus. It might put a Band-Aid on the wound, but we don't want a festering wound underneath the bandage. Okay. Furthermore, lifestyle factors that promote inflammation, such as poor diet, high stress, lack of exercise, inadequate sleep, can all worsen menstrual symptoms. So you can see this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have excess estrogen, you might be having spikes of estrogen, and maybe you're in perimenopause and the estrogen's going way up and then it's going way down. And now you're having a really heavy period and then you're not bleeding at all. And you're waking up at 3 a.m. because your estrogen has dropped, which then stimulated a cortisol and adrenaline release. And now you're awake and you're wired and tired and you're not sleeping. And now you have inflammation the next day and your body's not properly detoxifying. So then the next time you bleed, you have a painful period. You see what I'm putting down? So these factors can increase levels of inflammatory markers in the body, leading to not just increased pain, but heightened pain perception and discomfort during menstruation. Okay, so let's talk about some solutions. Like I said, not just pain meds. I mean, sure, you could take ibuprofen 600 every 6 hours, 800 every 8 hours, but then you're also increasing the chance of developing leaky gut and gut dysbiosis, right? And heartburn, all the stuff we don't necessarily want. It's not all bad. I took ibuprofen the last couple of days because I was sprinting with my 6-year-old and my dog was chasing another dog perpendicular to me, and my dog happened to completely take me out at my right knee, and I was down for the count and on crutches and rest, ice, compression, elevation. I was using it along with ibuprofen. So it's not all bad, but I know that I'm doing it deliberately with food and I know the consequences. So let's not talk about pain meds. Let's not talk about hormones. Let's not talk about surgery. Okay. Often you're going to go to a provider and they'll simply just put you on the pill, or they'll insert a Mirena, a progesterone-based IUD, or they'll say, oh, we'll just do an ablation, or we'll just take the uterus out, okay? I'm not saying those are bad solutions, but those aren't necessarily the solutions you're going to find from me from a more functional medicine and holistic perspective. So let's talk about nutrition and diet. It's relevant, it's important, okay? Including foods that help reduce inflammation and alleviate symptoms is worth bringing up, okay? Some of those are obviously a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and berries. We want a wide variety of bright colors, okay? So if you listen to me at all, you hear me say this often. Can you sit down and every snack, every meal, count at least 3 colors, and ideally your white, yellow, and brown don't count, okay? Can you go through the whole day and say, I've had 9 different vegetables? From a functional medicine perspective, I'll never forget one of my teachers said, great research for gut microbiome, for decreasing inflammation, for longevity, anti-aging, 9 different vegetables every day. And can you just say, okay, I got in every color today. Today in the afternoon, I was feeling a little bit low energy. I don't really particularly love being in pain. So I made a smoothie, right? And I put some MCT powder in there and some collagen powder and some plant-based protein powder, as well as the big bag of power grains from Costco. I'll go buy like 5 bags at a time, throw them right in the freezer. So that way they're not going to be great for a salad, but they're great for smoothies. So I put like 4 handfuls of those in there and some frozen mango and some frozen wild blueberries. And then what else did I put in there? I did a couple different green powders, and I forget what it's called. It's so yummy though. And some chlorophyll powder. And I love inner light greens, right? So I'm just going, okay, how can I get some more color in here, boost my energy level a little bit, get some healthy fat? So I threw in some chia seeds and some hemp seeds, right? So sometimes you just go, okay, can I just make a quick smoothie, or can I make a big soup, fit a bunch in there? So when I talk about healthy fats, increasing your omega-3 fatty acids can go a really long way if you're someone that is struggling with menstrual pain, such as your fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines. I mentioned flax seeds, not just flax seeds, but make sure it's ground flax. Keep it in the fridge. Make sure it's organic. Chia seeds, you can make an amazing chia seed pudding. Oh my gosh, I love doing like a cacao powder with a can of coconut milk, some dates, some chia seeds, and maybe a plant-based protein powder. Throw it all in the blender, and it's like the most amazing decadent chocolate pudding with chia seeds. And now you've got so much nutritional potency punch. You could even sneak some green powder in there, but it also tastes yummy. Okay. Walnuts, your nuts and seeds, they're all going to be sources of omegas. And so what we're doing is we're trying to lubricate the joints. We're trying to feed the brain, but we're also trying to prevent menstrual pain. And omega-3s have great anti-inflammatory properties that can help reduce inflammation and alleviate menstrual pain. Obviously, we want to minimize processed foods. Okay, so all your box stuff, anything you're buying, your packaged, pre-made, microwave, frozen dinners, box stuff, just try your best to stay away from it. Obviously, no fast food. My friends, it does not serve you, okay? Even if you think it's kind of helping the budget in the short term, I promise you're going to pay much more significantly in the long run. And I want you to live a long, healthy, vibrant life. I just today had a consult with a bioidentical hormone specialist, because I'm 46. I've never really tried bioidenticals and just still exploring. And he kept saying, man, it's amazing. You have such a strong sense of overall health and vitality. And what can we do to perpetually up-level this, right? We're looking for total vibrancy. Caffeine and alcohol are mixed bags. For some, caffeine might help in the ADHD world, but I will tell you, if we've got that estrogen dominant scenario, particularly if you've been diagnosed with fibroids, caffeine and alcohol really are not your friend. Just simply take them out. And if you're like, panic, I can't let go of my caffeine, try some cordyceps as an adaptogen. Gives you great stamina without the coffee buzz. Maybe try initially switching over to green tea or matcha and drinking the adaptogen elixirs, which I'll make sure to touch on. Hopefully you have grabbed my free adaptogen elixir recipes and you've actually tried them. I mentioned limiting processed foods and refined carbohydrates, right? So we're looking at reducing consumption of processed food, sugary snacks, refined carbohydrates like your breads and your pastries. These foods can lead to inflammation, hormonal imbalances, and also exacerbate menstrual pain. If you're going to take them out, my preference is you do it for a good 3 months. You really want to give a full round of 3 different cycles to see if this is making a difference. And even if you're not menstruating every single month, still just give it 3 months and see how it feels. Not to mention, there's going to be so many other extra benefits from that. Choosing lean protein sources is also going to be helpful from a diet modification perspective. Offer lean protein sources such as your healthy chicken that's hormone antibiotic free, right? Tofu, legumes, beans. I already mentioned fish. Protein-rich foods that help stabilize your blood sugar levels and prevent energy crashes. These can also contribute to menstrual pain reduction. So we're bringing in healthy fats and healthy protein, ideally every 2 to 4 hours. Even if you're doing intermittent fasting, I'm still going to really encourage you that when you're in your eating window, you're getting regular lean protein and quality fat sources. And then obviously staying hydrated, okay? You've got to drink plenty of water throughout the day to stay hydrated. Dehydration can exacerbate menstrual cramps as well as bloating. So aim to drink at least 8 to 10 glasses of water daily. And herbal teas are great. They don't substitute for water. Okay. Please no sodas. Even stay away from the juices as much as possible unless it's really quality juice. But if you're going to choose herbal teas, things like ginger or chamomile can also provide soothing relief during menstruation specifically. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on intermittent fasting. Fast Like a Girl has really hit mainstream. Dr. Mindy Pelz, appreciate what she's bringing out there. And I have definitely had a number of clients that have had severe history with intermittent fasting and a reduction in painful periods, even a client with endometriosis. And so, but you just have to find if it works for you. I have other clients that no way, they need more protein and more iron-rich foods and more rest and more warmth and more kind of nourishment throughout their bleeding time. So find your way. I don't think there's one way for anybody. Just to bring up a couple studies that have been done regarding intermittent fasting specifically, they say that one possible mechanism behind the potential pain reduction is the anti-inflammatory effect of intermittent fasting when you're dropping into autophagy. So by reducing the calorie intake and giving the digestive system a break, intermittent fasting may help decrease inflammation in the body, including inflammation associated with menstrual pain. But once again, we've got to just find that personalized way for you. There was a study published in the Journal of Education and Health Promotion in 2018 that examined the effects of Ramadan fasting. So the cool thing with intermittent fasting is it's really been able to be well researched because so many people around the world practice Ramadan, where a full 30 days they are fasting from sunrise to sundown and replacing it with prayer and with nourishing activities, right? So there was this study in 2018 looking at Ramadan fasting on dysmenorrhea, or painful period. It was out of the university, looking at university students. And the study found that participants who fasted during Ramadan reported a significant decrease in the severity of dysmenorrhea compared to non-fasting participants. There was another study published in the Iranian Journal of Nursing and Midwifery Research in 2013 that investigated the effects of fasting on dysmenorrhea, once again among female students. And that study found that fasting during Ramadan was associated with a reduction in severity of dysmenorrhea symptoms, once again. So I think it is worth giving it a try, particularly if you're someone that really struggles. Now, how long? Maybe you want to try a 15-hour, maybe you want to try an 18-hour, maybe you want to try a 24-hour, but make sure when you do it, you're making sure that you're really feeding your body leaning up with quality protein, lots of plants. And when you break the fast, we're looking for probiotic-rich foods, some nice produce, and then integrating protein. I do want to put in one more little plug for my adaptogen elixir recipes. Please do grab them, okay? Adaptogens are going to help your body better adapt to stress. When we drink them as an elixir, we're now bringing in quality fat and quality protein, which is going to help blood sugar maintenance, is going to help decreasing inflammation while helping your body feel safe. Okay, couple extra things, and then we're going to finish this podcast episode up. From herbal remedies, obviously there are lots of herbs and botanicals out there that can be really helpful for menstrual pain relief, such as ginger, turmeric. If you are going to do turmeric, make sure it's with a fat source and a curcumin or black pepper source. I already mentioned chamomile, but also cramp bark. They have anti-inflammatory as well as muscle relaxing properties, and they can be consumed as teas, tinctures, or supplements. Cramp bark and motherwort are two herbal remedies that have been traditionally used to alleviate menstrual pain. I've actually had the most success with clients that I've worked with, specifically using motherwort. And both motherwort and cramp bark, once again, are going to help relax those uterine muscles, reducing the intensity of the muscle cramps specifically. And motherwort has like an antispasmodic property that can ease that tension and promote relaxation in the uterus. Both herbs are often consumed in the form of teas, tinctures, or capsules. I definitely have found that tinctures are probably the most potent. And if you look up Susan Weed, she's got a great protocol specifically for motherwort, and you just dose it during your heavy, painful days until the pain goes away. And obviously keeping in mind that individual responses may vary. And herbal remedies offer natural alternatives for those seeking relief from menstrual pain. And it's always a good idea to make sure that you're consulting any provider. I'm obviously not your provider, so I'm being very careful to suggest any specific dosing because I don't know your specific scenario, but I am suggesting that you at least look up cramp bark and motherwort. And there's obviously all of the mind-body practices that go a long way, okay? Yoga, meditation, deep breathing exercises. I had a client recently who's just been doing breath work and her menstrual pain is gone. Her anxiety is gone and she's sleeping. Okay. They're powerful. So yoga obviously is going to be involving stretching, strengthening, relaxation, getting into your intentional breathing. And there have been many women that have reported alleviation of menstrual cramps. You definitely, if you're going to go to a yoga class, let them know that you're in your bleeding because there are some poses like inversion poses that they'll ask you not to do. But poses like child's pose and doing cat cow and supine twists can definitely release tension in the pelvic area, improve blood flow, reduce pain. And then obviously yoga is encouraging mindfulness and body awareness, empowering women to tune into their bodies and respond to discomfort with compassion and care. Sometimes the discomfort is just because we carry so much tension in our bodies. So then let's talk about meditation. It's a powerful tool for calming the mind and reducing stress. And obviously stress can exacerbate menstrual pain. So by practicing mindfulness meditations, we can cultivate a sense of inner peace and resiliency. I do have some guided meditations that I've recorded specifically for menstrual pain. If you are listening to this, you're welcome to email me or the team. Just email them at admin@marayabrown.com and ask for the menstrual pain meditation. I'll make sure someone from the team gets that for you just as a gift from me to you. And hopefully you can really use it during your menstrual time. I've definitely had a number of clients say that it's worked to take away their pain. So, we're focusing in on breath. We're observing our thoughts, right? We're coming from non-judgment and we're allowing the body to unwind. And I mentioned deep breathing or breath work. It can be incredibly beneficial for managing menstrual pain. It stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system to tell the body, oh, I'm safe. I can reduce much muscle tension, right? So there's diaphragmatic breathing, alternate nostril breathing, belly breathing. They can all really help. And nowadays, there's so many different breathwork practitioners. Most towns, you can find a breathwork session. Obviously, acupuncture and acupressure is another one worth exploring if you can find an acupuncturist in your area. The world of traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, is an ancient practice. And for centuries, they have been treating menstrual pain. I can't say enough there. It was so fun. When I lived in Hawaii and I taught at the Chinese Medicine College on the Big Island, I would teach them Western medicine, women's approach to women's health, and they would inevitably teach me the Chinese medicine approach. And man, I learned so much. So acupuncture involves the insertion of thin needles into specific pain points along the body's energy pathways, known as meridians. Okay, so it's very different than a Western medicine approach of looking just at the uterus, right? Or just at the ovaries, or just at the lungs, or just at the liver. From a Chinese medicine perspective, you might hear them say things like kidney and liver, but it's really more from a meridian system perspective and a very different approach. But definitely, they're going to help with discomfort, blockages of the flow of qi or your vital energy. And these specific points are alleviating inflammation, promoting relaxation, and helping with menstrual pain. So I think that's enough for now. I'm hoping that this episode has been really helpful. Once again, you are welcome to reach out to me. I am very approachable. Find me as Maraya Brown in all the social media places. You can email the team at admin@marayabrown.com. If there's any topics you would love for me to cover, or you have specific questions, or you want to potentially pop on a call with me to see what it might look like to work with me and the team, to look at your hormone testing, to look at your gut microbiome testing, to help you along your journey of feeling spectacular. I love, love, love to focus on energy, hormones, libido, confidence, helping women with their vision, helping women with their relationship with community. So if any of that calls to you, and if you happen to be one who's struggling with painful periods, heavy bleeding, I just want you to know that there are many solutions out there that you probably haven't even tried yet. Please do reach out and we would love to help. Okay, ta-ta for now.